Hi guys, it's Promise Sebastian here again. Welcome to iMobile Graphics. So we're gonna be taking Blender tutorial. I'm using the current Blender 3.4. You can see here, and it's awesome. Trust me, Blender is an awesome tool. So on this tutorial, I'm gonna be taking you guys through on how to download Blender and then the interface and then how to walk through the movement keys. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna open my Chrome now. It's loading, so I'm going to be heading to blender.org. That is the site you're going to be typing, and then that's the Blender site. On there you're going to see where you could download Blender, and then more about their site. You could see it's an open source software, so it's free for everyone. So blender.org. Okay, so blender.org, it's kind of going. It's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. Okay, so this is it, blender.org. This is what you're gonna see once you type it. So you could click download here as far as you're on your PC, and it's gonna download right away. Okay, so that is it for downloading Blender. And then let's just off this because we don't need this now. I just removed it, and then so I'm going to be opening my Blender here. This is Blender 3.4. What you're going to do on this tutorial, this is introductory part of Blender tutorial. This tutorial is an introduction to Blender. So I'm going to be taking you guys through on the interface and then the movement keys, because once you're in Blender, what you want to do is you want to learn how to move stuff. You could move the mesh you see there on default. Okay, so this is what you see on default. So once you download it, you're gonna see to accept language, so you could just click OK, accept the English language, and then this is what you see. You have here general, you have 3D 2D animation, you have sculpting, you have VFX. All these things are parted version of this general. So with this general, you can do all these things you see here. Okay, so all these things are my recent files, the files I've worked on already. So we're going to be using this general now. So once you click on it, this is what you have now. This is your mesh. Okay, so for you to use Blender and use it properly well, okay, so you need the middle, you need a mouse, that's to start with, and then you need the middle button on your mouse. That's the button you use to scroll. That if you scroll, you zoom in, then if you scroll out, then you zoom out. Then the middle button, that the button you use to scroll, if you click on it, it's kind of clicking. So once you click on that, you could use it to move on Blender. That is the very important to move on Blender. It's easy. I think there's a shortcut on the keyboard, but then using the middle button on your mouse is great. Okay, so that is it, what you use to move. And then if you tap on shift and then tap on that middle button, you could use it to move without having to rotate around the viewport. Now you just move and move without having to just rotate without the shift. Okay, so then that is it. Now I'm going to shift this and bring it here now. So if you look at your top here, you're going to see a lot of menus which are very much confusing. Okay, I'm going to explain them I'm going to briefly explain them. Okay, so here you have your file. Okay, it's more, if you've used Photoshop, you could get used to this. This is, you open your new file. You can start with general. This general we just saw. Once you open, then you have open. This means open a new file, and then this open recent, so you could open the recent file. So on this open now, if I tap on it, it's taking me to my it's going to take me to folders here. So all these things are my folder now, but then it's black, it's not normal white. So all these things are folders on this PC. So I could tap on any Blender file I've said and then open it right away. Okay, so back to the file here. So we have save, so you could save some stuff, and then you have link, you could link some files. All these things you're going to go through them, but then this is what you need to learn: the open and the save. Okay, so you have edit here. On this edit, the most important thing here, it's preference, and then undo history. I think this undo history, it's more of if you've actually worked on this workspace. So if you want to you remove some stuff, then you use this undo history. So this is preference, is really important. Use it to change the preference of your Blender, but I think for a start, as a beginner, you wouldn't want to be changing anything here. Okay, so you have render here is used to render. You have render image, render animation. You could render just audio also. Okay, on Blender, that is good. So you could view, render what you've rendered and the rest. So here is your window. I think here it's very important thing I use here often is save screenshot. Okay, if you with this screenshot, you could save this, the screenshot of your app you get, of your Blender you're working on. You could save the screenshot Okay, so that is it for the window. Then here, help here, you could check the blender manual and the rest. So these ones are aside the menus, like menu, blender menu, and then these ones are more of a layout, or will I say a mode. So you switch to different modes that you want to work in. So this layout now, I think, is layout. You could use it for modeling, and you could use it for basically modeling. Then this one is when you are strictly on modeling. So on this now, we are strictly on modeling now. So now we can do some maneuvers here. Let me just show you guys what some little tips you could do here on Blender. I think I'm on edge mode. Let's just switch to this mode. Let's press E, and then you see what you could do on Blender. So in this modeling, that's kind of interesting, but we're going to be learning this as we go forward. Okay, so this is modeling, and all these tools are modeling tools for modeling. Okay, you could see I just extruded that one, and then I could tap one and then grab a vertex and use the G, and then you see what I'm doing to this shape. So that is it for this. So you have sculpting. Once you have sculpting here on the sculpting workspace, is for painting. Once you want to, like, when you want to mold a face, or once you want to create somebody's face, you don't model a face, you have to sculpt it because of the holes and then a lot of geometry on the person's face. So you wouldn't want to use shape for that. You have to sculpt that because a lot of faces are going to be included on the person's face. So what for you to sculpt, I think you will be needing a UV face. Not I think you will be needing a UV face. So let me go back to edit mode here instead of object mode, instead of this sculpt mode, and then I'm going to delete this with the delete key on your keyboard. I think there is a button, tap the name delete on the keyboard. That's one you use, not backspace. So we're going to use Shift A is used to add mesh, and whatever it is you want to add is just add anything. You could add light, you could add meshes. Okay, so we are adding mesh now, so we are going to add UV sphere. Okay, this is what you use to sculpt. So let's get back to our sculpting. Let's switch from modeling to back to our sculpting mode. So all these tools now, let me just drag them out so you see their names now. So they have their names and then they have their various works now. Let me just take the grab tool now, and then you see what it does to this. You see it's used for sculpting. Then that is it for this sculpting. You have UV editing. This UV editing is really great, okay, but then the hint you need to get about it's used to add textures, images to whatever model you're doing. That's what this UV editing is used for. It's kind of complex, you might not understand it as a task, but then what you need to get as a hint is used to add images. That is it. So texture paint is more of you adding texture to your is close to UV editing, but then it's just basically textures. Okay, so you have shading workspace. This workspace is really great, and I use it a lot. Okay, use this workspace to add textures also, but then it's not like UV where you add textures only on a particular object. This one is used to add textures on any. You could have a variety of objects, or models. You could have a house here, you could have somebody here, you could have a tree here. So all of them on this shading workspace, you could add textures to them and walk around them. Okay, all these things we are going to talk on them as we proceed. So you have the animation workspace used to animate your animations. Then you have rendering. Here is the workspace for rendering. So this workspace is really not necessary, where you could just go over to your render here, render animation, or you just click on F12 and then you render. So the rendering workspace is not basically, it's not that important. So you have composing. This is where you compose whatever it is you do on Blender. And then you have geometry node. Geometry node, it's more of the same thing as modeling and then compositing. Okay, so it's more complex than that, but that you wouldn't be needing that as a newbie. Then you have scripting. Okay, this is for those that you work with codes on Blender. You know, you could code on Blender without using input. You could code and then see the input also in Blender. So Blender is really great. If you're good in Python, you could code. Okay, so then that is it for that. So let's go back to our layout workspace now, and then the few things you need to learn. You need to know how to move. Let's just delete this now. At least once you're in Blender, this is what you're gonna use. Shift A, mesh. Let me add back the cube you have here. So once you're in Blender, this is what you're going to see on default. On default, this is what you see. So you want to move this thing, and most times you just can't move it. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, you have your x-axis, you have your y-axis, and you have your z-axis. This is 3D. So for you to move, you need to press G. You tap on the object you want to move. Let's just tap on this now, on this cube, then use G, and then you could move this with by just tapping G now. G means grab, so you've grabbed it now, and then once you move your mouse or your touchpad, it moves the shapes, you get. So then you could then move to a particular axis. You could move to Z axis, you could move to X axis, you could move to Y axis. So then if I keep this box now, then tap G now, and then tap X, that means I want to move it, I want to grab it and move it only to the X axis. So you see, this is restricted now. My movement is restricted to just the X axis, and then I'm going to use the left mouse key. Is used to undo whatever it is you're doing. Let's just say let me not say undo, is used to cancel whatever it is you're doing. Let's just say I grab this now, and then I'm moving. I just place this here, and I decided not to place it there again. I don't feel like it's gonna be okay there. You just tap the right mouse key, not the left. The left is used to click OK. Like let's say I click grab now and place this here, I click OK. The left mouse key means I'm satisfied with the action, and then I'm okay with it. So but then if you're not satisfied, you could just click the right mouse key, and then it cancels it off. So we're gonna grab this and bring it to the center now. So if I click G again and click Y, that means I want to move it restricted to just the Y axis. I'm gonna click the right mouse tool so it cancels it off. So I click G and then I click Z now, Z. So it's gonna move this to the Z axis. Just restricted, my movement is restricted to just the Z axis. See, I can't just move it to anywhere else. You get it now. So I'm gonna use back the X now. So that is it, how to move your tool now. So you've learned how to move it, so you could go around moving, doing some movement here. Okay, so another thing to note here is these modes here now is similar to all this thing we just talked about. All these modes we just talked about now is similar to them, but then this one I think are more specific and easy to access because you won't want to be going through there. But this one is handy, is more handy. So you have here, you have your X-ray mode. Now with this X-ray mode, you could see through the shape, just like X-ray, you could see through the shape, and then it's easy for you because you could double select. Let's just say I'm in edit mode. Don't bother about what I'm just doing now. Edit mode is where you work on vertices, edges. We're going to talk on that on the next tutorial, but let's just say I'm in edit mode now, and I want to select this edge and this edge now. This, okay, I'm using, so I want to select this edge and also this edge. So I could hold shift and select the two of them. But if I want to select them at the same time now, once I'm in X-ray mode now, just box select here now, and it's going to select these two, all the whole edges I just box select. But if I'm not on X-ray mode, it's not going to work. Let me just off this X-ray mode now, and you see what's going to happen now. Let me just, if I box select this now, you see I just box selected only this edge now. So that is how it works. It helps you select through objects. I hope you get the hint there. Then you have wireframe. Wireframe also helps you to do that because you just have them as lines. That is what the mode does. All these modes, all these things are mode. Then you have the surface mode. This is the one you will be seeing often because this one gives you the actual look of the model you are modeling. Then you have material preview mode. This one have is more like the shading workspace we just opened, but this one have whatever material texture you've added. This one has it on the mesh or model. Then you have this render mode. Now this is where you see what your render is going to look like. I'm just switching to the render mode now, and this is what my render is going to, if I render this, that is, if I'm done with this animation now and render this like this, this is what it's going to look like. So this is the render mode. Okay, so that is how it works. So another thing I want to explain here is this gizmo here. You can see that this is, it's meaning something. You can see that if I move now, just watch it, it's getting close to the Y now. So let me just switch back to my surface this thing. I'm not rendering anything. So my surface mode now, this one I just talked on, I just switch on it now. So you can see if I'm moving to the Y axis close to the, let's just click the Y now. You see on this is on the Y axis. Now if you look here now, you can see that the Y is at the center now. So anyone you have at the center is the one you are, is the axis you are in. So let's say I'm in Z, I just tap on Z axis now. You see Z is at the center now, this Z now, but and then this means I'm in Z axis. So I'm at the top, I'm looking this is the top view now. So I'm looking at the top of this cube now, and then you see Z as it. So anyone that you tap now, anyone, once you could use it as a trick. Once you're moving the box and then you see anyone that comes to the middle, know that you are at that axis now. So let's just say I move this now to the Y axis, and then you see the Y comes to the middle. Now you see I'm now in the Y axis. So if I click on this now, I'm now on the Y axis. So I could tap on this box now. I could go to object mode, tap on the box, then grab it now, and then move it X axis now, and then I'm moving the X axis. You see it now. So that is how this works. As you could use it, it's very easy for you to switch over to a lot of axes now. Then another thing you have here is perspective mode. You have oblique, and you have orthogonal, and you have perspective mode. So you wouldn't want to be using this. You will have to use this one often now, this view often. So that is it for this tutorial. Okay, so guys, on subsequent tutorials we're gonna be learning edges. Like you see, I just extruded something on the shape when I explained this edit mode. So we are going to head over to edit mode on our next tutorial, learn what is edge, what is vertices, and what is faces, and how they work, so you could probably do a model. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching this awesome tutorial, and happy new year, best wishes. See you guys on my next tutorial.